Ever wonder if nuclear energy could be the future of our power source? I'm here to tell you why the burning of fossil fuels power is not only less appealing as it used to be, but also how nuclear power could pretty quickly surpass the coal industry and give us positive effects if given the opportunity to do so. Today I'll be presenting to you my proposal for my nuclear power plant in hopes of gaining some money from the government to get it up and running. Here is the Henderson Nuclear Power Plant, which will be located in Henderson, Nevada. It's meant to start an era of change that will better our energy production, but also the earth that we live on. Let's start by going over how energy is chemically produced. Here you can see the lifestyle of nuclear fuel as a whole. As we proceed, this is a better representation of the main process that takes place in the nuclear power plant, which is the act of fission. Fission is a chemical reaction that occurs when atoms are split apart to form smaller atoms. In the act of creating nuclear energy, a uranium atom is split using the heat from nuclear fission. This reaction takes place in our reactors building. The heat that is given off helps to not only heat the reactor as a whole, but also the water that is provided underneath. The heating of this water, in combination with the uranium atom, is used and then travels through as steam through the pipes of the power plant, which then turn this turbine here. The turning of the turbine with the steam then produces energy that can be used throughout the power plant and be transferred to other locations. Changing our main source of energy to nuclear energy is just as important to us as the construction of our power plant in making sure that our workers are safe. As you see here, this is the reactors building, which encapsulates the whole process of nuclear fission in creating energy within our power plant. As you see more clearly in this diagram, the control rods, fuel elements, moderators, and seal pressure vessels are also surrounded by a concrete shield. This shield, in combination with the actual reactants building wall that follows around here, provides a double shield containing all the different aspects of the creation of nuclear energy, which adds as a great protection for our nuclear power plant as a whole, but also for workers. So it greatly minimizes the possible accidents for our workers and anything that could affect the power plant itself. In a study done in 2016 by Benjamin Sovacool and his colleagues, it was estimated that out of 187,090 people in a city of Europe, that 25 premature deaths could be expected as a result of simply the city being powered by coal. Whereas if the city were happened to be run by nuclear energy, it was an average that there would be no premature deaths each year. This is because nuclear energy would support a death rate of 0.07 deaths per terawatt hour, meaning that it would take a total of 14 years before even one person died prematurely as related to nuclear energy and the process in which is conducted to get it. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Nuclear energy does produce the waste, but let me tell you why this should not spend too much time thinking about it. Nuclear waste is what people also consider as the nuclear fuel that was previously reused in the reactor. So it's basically fuel that was previously used by the power plant to produce previous power and electricity. The good thing about nuclear fuel is that it remains a solid from the time it enters here, as you see the break apart of uranium atoms, to the time that it exits the nuclear power system as a whole. So it comes out a solid just as it went in a solid. The radioactive byproducts of nuclear reactions also remains inside the fuel that is created. But are you ready to hear something even crazier? All of the fuel that's ever produced by the commercial nuclear industry since the late 1950s would cover a field to a depth of less than 10 yards. The production of power from the coal industry and the burning of fossil fuels would be able to produce this same 10 yards of depth per hour. Used nuclear fuel also has the ability to be used again. The uranium pellets can be used for 5 years later as an additional reactor. So once nuclear fuel is used once, it can still be used for up to 5 years, which helps us save money and reuses nuclear waste as itself. Once we're really done with the waste that is created from our nuclear power plant, it comes out, the Nuclear Power Sources of the US Nuclear Regulatory Commission comes out and ranks the waste from high to low. Once the waste that is produced from the nuclear power plant is ranked by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, then we're able to better evaluate how we dispose of it. Lower levels of waste are able to be stored in these radioactive waste bins at our nuclear power plant until it becomes non-radioactive and it can be disposed of just like normal trash. But if higher levels of waste are determined, they will still be put into these bins, these radioactive waste bins, and can be transported to our safe disposal facility, which will be established in Texas and or Utah. And they'll go through the process of radioactive decay. So, looking back here at our diagram of our nuclear, the life cycle of nuclear fuel, as well as the nuclear power plant as a whole, a big significant reason to look to nuclear power and why it quite frankly should be the future of nuclear energy in the US, and we hope that you will be willing to invest, is nuclear energy sources do not emit any greenhouse gases, which helps to decarbonize the air that we're breathing, and that is given off all across the globe, and would result in a global lowering of temperatures over time. Because of this, a rise of nuclear power plants and nuclear energy in the US would be a main source, would cause it to be a main source of energy and would greatly fight climate change. Climate change is a huge thing that we are focusing on in life today and requires the government to put a lot of money towards ways to fight off climate change. Simply changing the way that we get power to nuclear energy rather than that of burning fossil fuels could not only solve the problem of climate change over time, but also would allow us to create far more power and electricity than that of the burning of fossil fuels. I hope that this presentation will give you enough reasons as to why nuclear energy is really the best way for us to go and for the future of our Earth as a whole.